Metro Real Producers. This is Kristen Brinley, your publisher, and I am here with the wonderful Andrés Serafini of the Washingtonian Group at Arla. And he is our cover story on our 5th anniversary edition for March. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. And, thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I loved these photos too. Like, I love the Metro. I mean, those are awesome. Like, this is make sure you check it out if you haven't read his story. And he's he's an amazing leader and, good person, good dad. We were just talking about earlier, daughter wrapped you around the finger, and something I love that of all the awards, because you have a lot of them and different things, you care most that you've had a couple of Rookie of the Years for GCAR for your team come out of everything that you've done, which is very exciting. And y'all did $400 million. Like, you've done $400 million in business, and last year $80 million. Like, congrats. That's huge.
Thank you so much. No, and I think I honestly owe that to a big part of it is my team, right? That leadership role that you talked about is near and dear to my heart, because I see these young agents and people that are completely out of the industry join us and then just become absolute rock stars. And then they help that cause all together about making TWG, the Washingtonian Group, and Arla as a whole so much stronger.
So why real estate? I mean, you could have done anything. Like, why real estate? You're born and bred here too, right?
Yep. So I'm a DC native, born in DC, grew up in Bethesda, Maryland. And I just love everything that real estate stands for. It means so much to me. Not only am I able to connect and network, most importantly, I'm able to sell in my community. I mean, these are the people that I grew up with, the neighborhoods that I used to ride my bike in. And it just absolutely blows my mind when I see the skyline change. I mean, we're talking about, not trying to date myself, decades and decades of change of what went on. And it's just an amazing thing to be a part of.
That's awesome. Like, I love hearing that. And when you talk about DC, you light up. So tell us, so what's been like most challenging, for you, do you think? Like, what's been the biggest challenge?
So I guess having been in the industry for, so long now, I mean, I'm going on 15 years. So it's been quite...
You're a young guy for 15 years too. Yeah, that's great.
You're so sweet. You're so kind. But so I consider myself like somebody who really has grown up and seen how things have changed. And I think my biggest challenge is not letting my service get watered down. I see so much change in people when they start getting a little notoriety and success and things like that. And I'm just fortunate that I have such a large sphere of influence, which constantly reaches out to me. They want to help. I want to help them. They have a ton of trust in me. So honestly, I don't ever want to think that I'm going to let them down. So I surround myself with a strong team. The members on my team are able to help me deliver the service that everyone comes to expect from us. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is just not letting things get stale and never watered down service.
What do you think's been most rewarding?
It's just probably seeing my team grow and its success. I mean, it goes back to, I pride myself on the fact that, I think you mentioned this, I have 2 Rookie of the Years come out of TWG. And even though I have all my accolades and things of that personally, there's something really about helping the next generation pursue a career in this industry. There's so much upside, there's so much potential, but there's so much unknown and uncertainty. So helping them get into it is something that really, really helps me wake up every morning and want to give back. And then aside from that, it's just, helping. I mean, last year, I think we did almost 150, we helped 150 people achieve home ownership by either buying or selling, and just really just putting people into a position. I mean, coming from an immigrant family, the American dream, right? The American dream is home ownership. And just being able to to help people get there. Whether it's a first-time home buyer or a first-time seller or an investor, I mean, whatever it is, real estate is definitely something that helps build wealth for people. So just helping people do that is an amazing thing that, allows you to smile and go to sleep at night, just knowing that you've helped people.
So for you, I mean, what about for your dreams and goals? Because I love that that's a servant's attitude toward, home ownership too and wealth building. And I believe you're 100% right. Like that changes the trajectory of a generation. So for your dreams and goals.
Well, I think real estate has been a vehicle that's allowed me to travel and open doors in so many directions. I mean, real estate has allowed me the opportunity to create something, to make TWG from the ground up, to grown into a household name, to help families, as I talked about, for decades to come. So I really see that as continuing to help grow. But then also, like personally, real estate allows me to explore other avenues in real estate, right? Like investing. I think real estate investment is such a great thing to create wealth. And that's a dream that's fulfilled that I get to do every day with my job. So I think real estate has so many avenues that'll really help my future and help my family.
Define success for us. What does success mean to you?
So this is such an interesting question. It's such a loaded question too, right? People gauge success in so many different ways. And I honestly love a quote by the amazing Bob Dylan, which is loving what you do and being good at it. It can be anything. It can be literally just being an amazing father. That's something that I pride myself on being successful in. My wife, I want her to know that she is something so special to me. She's given me this life, my family, and honestly, business. I mean, seeing families enter into home ownership, as I mentioned, helping developers create new construction. I mean, there's just so many avenues of it. But I think the most important thing is that you just love what you do, and then ultimately strive to be the best at it, and then that's success.
So tell us, love that answer. Tell us about your family. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So my family. So I always was so funny growing up because my father's from Italy, my mother's from Colombia, so I'm like that perfect American mutt, right? So I got a little bit of everything running through my blood, and I'm the youngest of three children, and by a lot. Like my siblings, my 18 and 14-year different gaps with me. My brother was graduating high school, and I still have this picture in my parents' house of like my brother with his cap and gown on, and my mom like 9 months pregnant. And like it's just the funniest thing ever. Like so funny in the sense that like I get phone calls now and they're like, "Hey, I think I went to school with your dad." And I'm like, "There's no way you went to school with my dad." They think my brother is my dad because of the age difference. And it's just always been so funny. So being the youngest, you always had to learn how to fend for yourself. And, at the same time, you were also very loved because they treated you like their own. But like everything, it just it's kind of molded us into the people that we are, and we are so close as a family. Even now that I have my extended family, I have my past family, and we've gone through a lot together. And I think that's what really brings people together. Not to dampen the mood or anything. We had last year, unfortunately, I lost my sister in a battle to cancer. And during those hard times, you really see how strong your bond is with the people closest to you and your loved ones. And if it wasn't for the fact that we were such close knit as a family, I could see so many people in our family going in different directions. But, we made it an effort to be strong together. And I'd have to say that my 2-year-old daughter was probably the reason that gave life to so many people in my family. Because it's sad what they say, as some doors close, others open. So you see life leave, but then you also see pure, innocent life start to grow. And I'd have to say that my daughter Valentina really was our rock, or maybe our pleasant distraction. But I got a beautiful family, and I'm very fortunate that I'm rich with love and family.
I love that answer, and I'm sorry about your cancer touches touches so many families and lives.
It's so
What
real. It's so real. I think, it just makes you appreciate every day. And I think we talked about it because you're a warrior in itself. You're a cancer survivor. You understand what it's like to potentially not have tomorrow granted, and it makes you want to fight. It makes you want to get up and work harder and do things that maybe push you outside of your comfort zone because life isn't, you know, uh, granted. It's not something that you can expect every day.
Yeah, it's finite. Like we
Yeah.
have a blip on this earth, so let's make it count, right? Like um I tell so what are you currently learning? Like what are you working on right now?
Yeah, so I'm a big avid learner. Like I love the idea of constantly sharpening my tools and like figuring out how to better myself. I'm like, if you look at my audio books, it's just like all self-help. You would think that like I'm looking for something that I just haven't found with every book on tape that I read weekly. And I think right now, my biggest thing that I'm trying to learn is how to become a conscious leader, right? Which is a lifelong practice. A conscious leader speaks with integrity, leads with authenticity, and holds themselves accountable. Like I think that's the biggest thing is like holding yourself accountable rather than having somebody else hold you accountable. Like everyone talks about accountability partners. Yeah, that's great to get the movement and the process, but like you really have to be your own accountability partner. And conscious leaders are in tune with themselves. Like so, I think just trying to cultivate self-awareness and becoming self-aware is probably the most beneficial thing that you can do as a leader and in my leadership style. So just focusing on building a culture of we rather than me, and helping people around me is probably what I'm learning every day right now to so then I can give back to TWG.
I love that. The leadership journey is just a never ending cycle of learning, I feel like. um, well, what about hobbies and interests and like educational classes or things that you'd recommend? Like, what are some of those? I love like what an avid learner you are too. Like I'm every morning I spend time like reading and audiobooking.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's huge. So routine is a big thing for me. Uh, People who follow each other on social media platforms definitely can see that I'm a guy that wakes up early, that goes to the gym, that works out. Like I think that balance of like mind and body is so important. Like what you're talking about, like you work out in the gym and then you work out listening to audiobooks and reading books. So it's so important to me. I love working out. I think that's a lifestyle that I've chose. I played D1 soccer in college, and I literally have taken that competitive edge and that work hard mentality and transferred it over to business. But I still need that outlet, right? It's funny. I was a kid that had ADHD and was like a mile a minute, and as an adult, think I still have it. So that allows me to take everything that would potentially bottle people up and let me have a release and just enjoy working out and conquering the hardest thing, what most people do in the morning. And then at the same time, soccer, like I said, I played D1. So now I just got back into like men's league soccer. So that's something I do like 7 a.m. on Saturday mornings. And my team even plays in this cold, which is crazy. I'm not cut out for that, but I do it.
I'm not no, that's great. Well, you gotta have passions that you keep for yourself too. Good for you. That's mental time and time for yourself. I love that. What about educational book or class, or what things would you recommend that you've read or taken that you'd say for other real producers to do? Like, yeah.
Yeah. So I do a lot. Like we have one thing through TWG is we do a book club, and we pick one book or one class and we do it for the month. And then on Thursdays, we discuss it and we figure out what we captured from it and how we can implement it. And I think that's something that helps bring us together. And then at the same time helps make us more valuable and more, I'd say more intelligent when it comes to certain things that arise on a daily basis to help our clients. So like we've done everything. Right now, we're doing Brian Buffini. Brian Buffini is a great coach and instructor to help with referral business and your sphere of influence. I've done Tom Ferry, Darren Hardy. I mean, I've really tried to learn from so many people. And I think that's what constantly helps me sharpen my tools to then give back to my team, my family, my clients, and just the people closest to me.
Do you have any like favorite quotes or anything like that that you want to? Yeah.
So I think so. Yeah, I always try to have these funny quotes, and I have this one that when I wake up, at 4 a.m. and I'm about to hit the gym, it's I'm up like I'm broke while you sleep like you're rich. And it's this like quote that I pushes me. It isn't a quote to call anybody else out, but it's a quote for me to remind myself why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? That I can go harder than anybody else. That when people are like, oh, there's not enough time in the day, it's like, no, you just wake up at 3, wake up at 4, and take advantage of that time. People are sleeping. You could knock out some valuable work. So I really am a firm believer that there's a solution and a way to help create more time, which, as we all know, is something that is running out fast. And unless you try to maximize it, it can pass you by.
It's the great equalizer, right? We all have the same amount. It's what are you going to do with that morning you have?
Exactly.
And yeah,
Exactly.
I love that I'm a miracle morning person. And yeah, good for you. 4 a.m. is getting it done. 4 a.m. is getting it done. So what do you think like sets you apart, makes you different?
Uh, that's such a tough question, right? It's one to answer as yourself. Like I'm special because like it's so weird. So like I had to ask somebody, that I was uncomfortable with it. I go, what would you say? And then they reminded me of something, and I kind of agreed with them. And it was nice to hear coming from somebody else. But they basically said, they're like, Andres, uh, you have a constant growth mindset. Like you're also super competitive, and you love a challenge of being able to make friends with anybody in the room. And then they went on to tell me, and I kind of just sat there. They're like, those three things together are very unique, and specifically unique to me is what they told me. And when it comes to those three things, like you're on a crazy level with it. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, wow, that's so interesting that you said that, because I see myself as throughout my entire life of like everything, like my mindset, growth mentality, it's always been there. And like having played sports at such a high level, that competitive, even if it's friendly competition, and then just the challenge of, everyone always jokes around, they're like, you're such an introvert. And I'm like, yeah, right. So I just love being able to use our networking. And I think that's a huge piece as well that allows us to propel our business, especially in real estate, is it's just being able to make friends and contacts. And I think that's one of the most amazing things about Real Producers, is that you allow us to network with the top tier agents in the industry, and you put us into these environments that it's casual, yet it's all business. And it allows us to surround ourselves and be able to connect with people that we're usually too busy to really just stop and talk to. And at the same time, it's a plus. You always put us in these awesome houses and venues, so it brings us all together. So hats off to you for allowing us to network with our peers.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it. I love seeing you all, like your sphere, and seeing everything that happens from those. Thank you. I very much appreciate that. Well, is there anything you would recommend other real producers absolutely should do? Like anything that you would recommend for others to do?
I guess like is just tracking your business and treating your business like a business. I think so many people are so consumed with just trying to make money that they forget that this is a business, right? And you hit certain milestones in your business that you should self-evaluate and figure out, what your next step up, your level up is. And I think one of the hardest things that people do is delegating. I think delegating, and I guess it comes with being surrounded by an amazing team, but you don't need to delegate to someone who is as good as you or even better, because I think that's the one mindset, is that I don't want to give it because they can't do it like I can do it, right? You need to delegate to someone who can do just as good or a better a job as if you who you were when you first started. So it's really kind of allowing the younger generation and people that you're grooming and cultivating to help you as well. And maybe they don't have the 15 years experience that I have, but you know what? They're on a fast track of becoming rock stars, like I said before. And if you do that, you can probably get rid of half of the workload that maybe stresses people out, and learning when to delegate and focusing. And then that allows you to focus on your highest and best use of time. And then that really allows you to propel and catapult.
Love it. What's the greatest lesson? What's the greatest lesson you've ever learned?
uh, um, you know what? I think everyone talks about lessons as failures as well, right? Failures are probably the best time that you learn certain things. And I honestly think, like, I'm not saying I don't have failures, but that's not really in my vocabulary, right? So I would phrase it as lessons learned, like you're talking about. And it's just experiences on how to bring people closest to you into your circle, and then allow them to help you. So like this, beforehand, everybody was very like soul centric, like independent agents. And then we got to this boom of everybody started getting teams. And I think people realize that in a team mentality, you can do so much more collectively. And then the best thing about it is that you can help them, they can help you. So I think in terms of learning lessons, it's just really about focusing on creating a tight knit circle that helps you grow together. And I think that's why I love the Washingtonian group. I love even my brokerage, because it's such a family mentality that allows us to grow together.
I love that, and I like to learn from every single thing that happens, and we just learn. Okay, well, we win or we learn, right? Like that's we win or we learn. Um, what would you like to be remembered for, Andres? What would you like to be remembered for?
I think right now I'm at a point in my life where my growing family is the world to me. So everything I do is for them. So if I could be remembered for anything, it'd be, being an amazing dad, being an amazing husband, being an amazing friend. I think we're so caught up in a rat race that sometimes we forget of our friends, the people closest to us, like checking in on them, picking up the phone, just like we prospect, like call the people that have been with you forever, and then, if people say, I'm an amazing realtor, well, I mean, that's cool too.
That's awesome. That's a great person first. Well, I am, honored to have you on our cover. I remember, meeting you back when we were both a little more like wet behind the ear, and it's awesome to see your growth and what you're doing in the industry. And I just, I'm glad that this was such a wonderful like cover here for you, because you're a great realtor, great person. So thanks for being on with me today.
No, thank you so much. This was such an honor. I know we've been trying to connect for the longest time. So I really am so impressed with what you've done to bring the real producers here to the DMV. And thanks again for thinking of me and inviting me.
Absolutely. Have you heard it here at Real Producers, and have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.